You only have one life to live, so get the most out of it. On Good Life, Great Life, join me, Brian Highfield, and my guests as we share success stories, habits, mindsets, and lessons learned by successful people. These lessons are not taught in schools, but are critical for getting ahead in life. Whether you want a successful business or career, optimal health, or a lifestyle that most people just dream of, Good Life, Great Life has you covered. After retiring from a successful corporate career in my 40s, I founded multi-million-dollar businesses in the sports and healthcare arenas. Now, I help everyday people maximize their lives and speak regularly at seminars, on podcasts, and radio shows to share principles on the topics of health, wealth, and happiness. Don't let a good life get in the way of a great life. Join me today on Good Life, Great Life. Well, welcome to another episode. We have with us today, we have Judy Helm Wright. So Judy is a respected author of over 20 books. She's an international speaker and global director of Family Solutions for the Win. She also operates her own publishing company called Artichoke Press LLC. Welcome to the program, Judy.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to meet your audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been as impressed with your bio of writing over 20 books. I've only written a handful. 20. I mean, that's just astounding to me that you have that accomplishment. I think that's wonderful. Well, what's inspired all these books?
Just, I didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday. I'm a wise woman who has done a multitude of different things. And a lot of those books are about parenting and self-growth because I was a parent educator. But surprisingly, I went to my doctor this morning and she was telling me about losing her dog and how traumatic that was. And of those 22 books on Amazon, my number one best-selling book is I Lost My Best Friend Today, dealing with the loss of a beloved friend. And, so, you know, I just have a wide variation of interests and like to pursue them. But I've always been an encourager. I've always promoted other people. I've always looked for the good in life and just go out of my way to help other people succeed.
Yeah, and people are looking for their options right now. They're wondering, is there anything more than what's in my life right now? And you know, I'm in a routine where I'm in a job that I don't love. And I don't find a lot of me time. I don't find a lot of time to spend with the ones I love. I'm spending too much time with people that I don't necessarily care for. And people are looking right now. They're looking for something.
Well, all I can say is been there, done that. Spend a lot of time in corporate America thinking, what am I doing here? Their bottom line was so much more important than the people, and couldn't wait to get out. And I have to tell you, this is a dream come true, to be in a little home office in Missoula, Montana, and create things for people. And nobody has to work in a cubicle anymore. There are so many options out there.
Yeah, and what are some of those options? And maybe talk a little bit about your experience, about how you arrived at, how you're able to escape that corporate America, you know, that realm and do your own thing.
Well, I will tell you that we have always had side hustles. We have 6 young adult professionals scattered all over the country who are very successful, and they trace it back to the fact that we always had a side hustle. We always had entrepreneurial things going. And, you know, I think I mentioned to you that I'm writing a book about writing memoirs. But one night in bed, I thought, oh my goodness, I need to relaunch this book about how to make fast cash in a weekend, because there are so many people who are so close to the edge right now. And I don't know how it is where you live, but rent in Montana is crazy. And so people are taking 2 and 3 jobs in order to just live. So I relaunched this book. It's called How to Make Fast Cash. And your audience can find it on welcomeabundance.com. And that's the book itself is older. I wrote it with 5 interns who were saying, oh, we're so nervous about when we get out of college, how are we going to get a job? And I said, oh, you silly young people, you never get a job, you create a job.
Yeah.
And even when you're working, even when someone else is signing your paycheck, you're working for you. It's you that you're working for. And it's your obligation to learn as much as you can learn and teach as much as you can teach, and then move on. Move on. Don't get stagnant wherever you go and whatever you do. And so we were actually able to gather 150 different gigs or great ideas to earn $200 extra in a weekend. Do you know why $200 is important?
I know why, but go ahead and explain.
Well, it's because $200, an extra $200 a month is the difference between declaring bankruptcy and not declaring bankruptcy. And people think, oh, if you declare bankruptcy, you're $10,000 in debt, but you started out $200 short. So if you can find out of this book or the course on Welcome Abundance for $47 is really good. And
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do another one, a shorter one for $27. But it just gives you ideas, and you think, and this is what's called a clicking moment. When you, oh, I could do that. Oh yeah, sure, I could do that. So, and right now is a perfect time to figure out a side gig, get your product, get your talent, get whatever, and be in holiday bazaars, be in holiday craft shows, be out, and people are out there looking for gifts. People are looking for someone to entertain their holiday party. This is the perfect time to start a side hustle.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think that, going back to what you said about bankruptcy, I saw a statistic that 87% of bankruptcies wouldn't happen if they just made an extra $200 and some odd dollars a month. That's how close people are to bankruptcy, and that's insane.
It really is, because $200 this month, you could borrow that from your mother-in-law.
Yeah,
she might growl, but she'd give it to you. Next month, it's $400 plus interest.
Yeah.
And then next month, it's $600 plus interest. And then you're really looking to find someone to tide it over. And it's so much easier just to do a little side gig. You can earn $200 in a weekend.
Yeah, and I love what you say, instead of getting a job, create a job. And you're so right. There's so many options out there, and just people don't know what they are. They think, oh, if I got to work for myself, I've got to have all this money to invest in either in a business or the stock market or in equities, or I need to go back to school and spend a lot of money to get another degree. Or maybe I can buy a Subway franchise, which again costs tens of thousands of dollars. And these little side hustles are really inexpensive compared to those options.
They really are. And on welcomeabundance.com, the book, the course is there, but also blogs are there. And I went to the doctor's morning. Coming back, I was thinking about a motivational chart I want to do called One More. And it's one more call, one more visit, one more, and one more try, one more weekend gig. Often that's all it takes.
Yeah.
To become financially solvent.
Yeah, you're really one relationship away of really having a different life.
Yeah. And I'm really pleased and proud of you for doing what you're doing, because I think that you're meeting a need. People are searching. They want someone to give them an idea. I can't remember the statistic. It's something like I don't know, 70% of America now has some side hustle, and 47% of millennials. Do you know that statistic? I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah, I saw some recent ones that really about 8 out of 10 Americans right now are looking for an entrepreneurial activity. And that number goes up from 80% with millennials.
Yeah,
And it said something like 65% of people surveyed said that they would, and this is in quotes, stop at nothing to be their own boss. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like many of us on your podcast, and probably you have worked for a corporate America where you thought they don't have my best interests at
Mhm.
all. They are looking out for their bottom line, but not for the people who work here. So I'm with you. The more, what we've tried to teach our kids and our grandkids is the more options you have, the happier you're going to be. And if you have a lot of options, then if this gig doesn't work, you can pivot and you can think, okay, well, I could do that, and if that doesn't work out, then you can pivot and do something else. And it doesn't matter what you choose to do. It matters that you stick with it, that you're consistent, and that you ask for help when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I use that all the time. I use the acronym CPR: consistency, persistency, and resilience are the I
Oh,
think the
I love
three things in
that.
any business. So
Yeah.
feel free to use that. You can just pay me a small token for every time you sell a book that has that in there.
Okay, write me an article and we'll put it up on Welcome Abundance.
Awesome. Yes, definitely. I'd love to be a contributor to that. Because it's again, I think we're aligned in that. We're at the same place, helping people understand what their options are. And just like you said, consistency is key, because a lot of people think, oh well, if I don't see immediate results, then it's not going to work.
I know, I know, I know. Or they think the idea would work, but I can't make it work. And that's not true. If you can see someone else doing it, then you can do it, but you got to do it a little smarter and a little better than them. Or the one who's already there will lower their costs and you won't make it. So just get an idea. Someone else can do it, then you can too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's definitely inspiring, because sometimes I look at people, I'm like, how did they do it? I feel like I can do it better.
Right.
And then other people look at the opposite. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't do what he did. I mean, that guy is an executive, he's an author, he's got all these credentials, but that's not where they started.
No, it isn't. In fact, one of the most interesting things I told you about that book, How to Make Fast Cash in a Weekend, one of the most interesting gigs that we interviewed, and I submitted a thing to Harrow, help a reporter out, asking people, what do you do for a side hustle? And then people wrote to us and told us what they did and how they did it. And this isn't a how-to book. This is kind of an idea where you can take it. But the surprise was the one who earns the most at a street fair. Do you know who it is? It's a balloon guy. Do you know it? And that blew our minds, because we assumed that it was somebody that made this gorgeous pottery, that
Yeah.
artwork. No, it was a balloon guy, because every one of them, what do they sell for? $5 or something like
Well,
that?
it depends on where you are. Disney, it's a lot more. It's like $20.
Yeah. And
25, in fact.
you would draw a little face, but
Yeah.
usually a parent or a grandparent would buy 5 or 6 of them into antlers or
Mhm.
whatever. And it took him like three minutes to do it. So he would easily come out of the art show with $1,000 a day. And we sold roasted cinnamon almonds. You've probably seen them in the little
Oh
cones.
yeah, yeah.
Wonderful things. The name of our company was We're Nuts. And the reason we did it was because a daughter was taking marketing in college, and she had left her book on the dining room table, and I was reading it when I had lunch. And when she came home, I said, this is BS. This is not how to run a company. And she said, oh no, and I said, I'll bet you anything he's never run a small business. And so we started that We're Nuts, and grew that, went to art shows and farmers markets. We could easily do 1,000 a day. And you just have to have an idea, put your spin on it, and work. I think that's one of the most important things, is you have to know that if it's gonna work, you're gonna have to sacrifice time. That means you got to work in the margins of time. Instead of watching TV, instead of going out for a beer with your buddies, instead of doing this, you got to work in order to make it work.
Yeah, and we use the phrase sometimes, there's some short-term imbalance. You have to sacrifice a lot, especially in the beginning, but as a reward, you get long-term balance in your life later on.
You really do. You really do. And we built that little nut company from almost nothing, and then we're able to sell it for a really big profit.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't have an idea or, a lot of ingenuity, everyday person can do it, because, you come from the network marketing industry. I do too. There's several great companies out there that will already have a product, will ship it for you. They just need help marketing that product. And so that's if you don't have a lot of skills, they usually have a system that you plug into and can make it work for yourself.
And I'm so grateful you brought that up, because people tend to sneer at MLMs. Yeah, that's a pyramid. But if you've ever worked in corporate America, that's a pyramid, because down here you don't make very much, and then up and up, the guy that makes it's up here. But what we've told our grandkids is, if you have to decide between going to college and working, then join a really good direct sales company and take all of their training, because they'll teach you how to sell. And it doesn't matter what you do in life, you got to be selling. You're selling kids into brushing their teeth. You're selling your little boy into not wearing his Superman cape to school 7 days in a row. You're always selling. And those direct marketing companies, find a product you believe in and go to every one of their trainings.
Yeah, it's funny you say, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not a salesperson. And like you said, everything's sales. And I have a funny joke where someone says that to me, and I said, I'm not convinced. Tell me why you're not a good salesperson. And they would sell me on why they're not a good salesperson. And I'm like, okay, apparently you are a good salesperson.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that people are so afraid of being rejected.
Yeah.
And really and truly, you just, like that, I was telling you, that one more, sometimes it just makes one more call, one more try, one more showing up, just one more makes a difference between it succeeding and not succeeding.
Yeah. And if you have a good product or a service that you're out there promoting, and you feel you have that fear of rejection, you're making it about you. You're not making it about the other person. You have something great for them, and they may not, want it or not, but don't make it about you and feel bad about it. Let them make the decision on if it's a fit for them, if the shoe fits or if it doesn't.
Well, and I think in thinking back, we were with Melaleuca for 31 years. And we got a check on the 17th of every month for 31 years. But I think that if I reflect on why some people don't make it in small business, is because they zero in on someone they think wants or needs it. They say, oh, John really needs it. He's been out of work. His wife's on his back. But if John doesn't want it, doesn't matter. So it isn't. So you need to figure on those who want your product. So if you're blowing balloon animals at a farmer's market, people want it.
Yeah. And it's funny because life changes for people. I figure about every 6 months, because they may not want it now, but 6 months from now, life has changed for them and they may want it then. And that's why I always circle back to people just to see what's going on in their life every 6 months. And I find out that their outlook has changed, and they now are looking for things that they didn't care for in the past.
Right. And I just think there's so much opportunity out there. And, we've heard forever and ever that America is the land of opportunity, but it's true. It truly is. this is the place where you can start a balloon business or a jam business. If you have raspberries and you make jam, if you sell them at the farmer's market, you make a good profit. And in the book and in the class, I teach people how to research, how to price products that you're doing, how to make sure it's a good fit for you, and so on. So there's so many ways for people right now to overcome that little teeny gap between having it and not having it.
No, that's great. We're almost out of time, and we could actually talk all day on this. We're going to have to do this again, but how can our audience connect with you, get in touch with you, Judy?
Well, I've got two places I'd really like them to go, or two websites. And one is welcomeabundance.com. The other one is memoirlifestorywriting.com. And that's to encourage people, especially right now. We're coming into the holidays, together family stories. So it's memoirlifestorywriting.com. And then I'd love it. I'm 78 years old, and I don't care that I have 22 books. Do you know what my proudest thing is right now? I have a big following on TikTok and Instagram. And I'm the storytelling grandma. So it's tiktok.com at Judy Helm Wright. And the same with Instagram, Judy Helm Wright.
Awesome. And we'll have all those links at the bottom of this podcast as well. So awesome. So our guest today has been Judy Wright, author of over 20 books. You can check them out on Amazon. Also, check out the welcomeabundance.com. Welcome. Thanks so much, Judy, for being with us today.
Well, thank you. You're doing such a service. I hope people realize how blessed they are to have connected with you.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that, Judy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Good Life, Great Life, brought to you by Brian Highfield. We hope you enjoyed listening to this week's guests and stories. If you like what you've heard, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts.